Hi, welcome to Neural Splendor. Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about saving fuel on your truck or your machine. One of the most important things that you can do is make sure your charge air system has no leaks on it. The boots don't have any leaks. The cooler is airtight. Even a small leak there does affect fuel mileage. The reason why is you need all that clean air in the cylinder, boosted into the cylinder, to burn all the fuel that the fuel system is putting into the cylinder. If you can see your exhaust stack and you don't have after treatment, if you see any smoke coming out at all, black smoke, then you're wasting fuel. Black smoke is actually soot. Soot is unburned fuel. So we want that fuel to burn 100% in the cylinder. To do that, it has to have sufficient air. It has to be atomized properly. The second thing that it can affect your fuel mileage is your EGR system. If you have fault codes on the EGR system, it's not functioning correctly. It could be over EGRing the system, and then you'll have too much air that does not have a lot of oxygen in it and not enough. So you will not completely burn the fuel in the cylinder. On your EGR system, you can make sure that the clamps on the hoses are tight, that everything looks okay. Look the engine over for black streaks. If you see a black streak that you rub your finger on it and your finger gets sooty, that's a leak. So you got to fix that. That could be by the EGR cooler on either end. That can be at the exhaust manifold. If you have a leaking exhaust manifold gasket or a turbo mounting gasket, that needs to be fixed. That will cost you fuel mileage. The next thing is if the engine is running sound or good. If you've got a miss or a slight miss, that could be an injector problem. That's going to cost you fuel mileage as well. The last thing we'll talk about is idle time. Cummins used to say if you can keep your idle time under 30%, then it doesn't affect fuel mileage that much. So if you run 100 hours in a week, or 100 hours of running, I should say, and you divide that by percentage, if you have less than 30 hours, 30% of 100 hours, you're not causing too much of a problem with fuel mileage. Of course, the less idling you do, the better. If you can shut your truck off, that's the best. The average diesel engine idles somewhere between 5 and 10 gallons of fuel a night, depending on the model, the load on the engine, the speed of the engine. So if you idle 5 nights, that could be 50 gallons. That's quite a bit. So idle time is another pretty big consideration. We'll talk more about driving techniques in another video. Thank you for joining me. I know everybody's worried about being fuel conscious. The last thing I want to say is on trucks with after treatment, since you can't see that smoke, if the engine is regenning more frequently than it used to, it's probably doing that because it's smoking more than it used to smoke, so something's going on. So regen frequency, if it's too frequent, that's going to cost you fuel mileage because you've got soot loading up that filter. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time on Neural Splendor.